Welcome back, folks, to the Mailwright Show. It's episode 211. We got a fantastic guest for the show, actually. I was so glad that he agreed to come on the show, and that's Mitch Ribak. And Mitch, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Sure. Mitch Ribak. I've been in real estate for 18 years. I've been generating internet leads for 18 years. Well, actually 17 and a half. My first 6 months, I was trying to figure it out. And and basically built a team, built a brokerage, merged my brokerage last year with 2 years ago with eXp Realty, with about 40 agents. We averaged about 700 transactions a year. And up until this year, we were doing about 300 to 350 transactions of that from internet leads.
And I've got to say, Mitch, I've watched some of his videos. He has a great way of explaining what are online leads, how to generate them. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. And also I've got my great co-host, Robert. Robert, would you like to introduce yourself to the new listeners and viewers?
Yeah, my name is Robert Newman. I'm the founder of Inbound REM, which is a blog and also a service company that builds websites and real estate lead generation websites. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Mitch as well. So John, why don't you lead us down the
Right. So, Mitch, I've been watching some of your videos and they're fantastic on YouTube. And can you give us, what is working for you and your team? This is going to be a slightly broad question, but I'll give you a few minutes to answer it. What is working for you and your team in Florida in 2019 when it comes to online leads?
It really hasn't changed. It's been the same forever. In fact, I wrote a new book called Rockstar Real Estate Guide. Rockstar Sales Guide, and it's only 3 pages. And I'm going to give you guys the book for free right now, verbally. The first page says don't text. The second page says don't email. The third page, I can't say the real word, because it's not legal online, I think, legally, but maybe it is. But pick up the effing phone. And it's the same messaging to everybody. The reason why we're so good at converting leads is because we know the numbers. I'll give you an example. I know that if you call a lead once, you'll get a hold of 21%. And by the way, the whole thing that if you call it like speed to lead and stuff like that, for a property inquiry lead, that's true. For a regular registration lead, it doesn't matter. If I call within 5 minutes, it's 21%. If I call within 24 hours, it's 20%. So that's if you call once. We learned over testing over the years that if we text, we get a 35% contact rate total. If we call 4 times over 8 days, every other day, and this is on a raw registration leads, what I usually talk about, then we're going to get a hold of 65 to 70%. Pretty simple. So,
and I just want to slightly interrupt because obviously a lot of our listeners and viewers are new real estate agents or in their first, second, third year. What you mean by registration is that they've landed on a web page, a landing page to register for something, and you've had no prior relationship with that possible lead. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So the first thing I figured out when I was, again, it was early January 2002 when I started my first website, and nobody was doing forced registration, which I didn't understand that because I'm like, you're going to spend money on marketing. Why are you not grabbing leads? Everybody told me I was crazy. But, I was looking at everybody else's websites were out there. I saw these really cute pictures of puppies and all this other stuff. And I said, I don't think people really come to your site to look at your puppy. I think they come there to look at listings. So if you're going to come look at listings, let's give them listings. And that's how the whole process started. It was just, what is the whole functionality of my website? It's to get people to come to my website. I'm going to spend money, get them to register to look at listings. And then once they're giving me listings, set them up in a search so they're getting listings that they want. Very simple.
Right. But you're what I think you said in your videos really very clearly is that this whole process is to build relationship. And your main criticism of a lot of agents is that if they don't contact the person straight away, it's not as totally they're there to buy or sell almost straight away. They don't attempt to try and build any relationship. Would I be correct about that?
Yeah. So what I teach my agents is most realtors, if I get a hold of you today, right? Say you're a customer, I get a hold of you today. Most realtors, and they say, I'm not buying for 6 months. Most realtors say, great, well, I'll send you listings and, give me a call if you see something you like and we'll talk when you're ready. That's the majority of realtors, if they ever even call the lead and get a hold of them. I teach my agent it's a 6-month opportunity to create a great relationship. So if I'm calling them based on our callback schedules that we use, then we know that over time they're gonna use us because we built that relationship. But it also does, the average realtor is registering now on 5 to 7 websites. They're registering everywhere. And so if someone says, are you working with a realtor? If you didn't build a relationship, they say, no, I got some guy named Rich or Mitch or Ditch is sending me listings. But the reality is, if I just built that relationship and say, no, yeah, I'm working with this guy, Mitch. It's about the relationship. It's always about the relationship. That's why the problem with texting is because texting doesn't build an emotional connection. And for me, I'm really good on the phone and my ISAs are really good on the phone. And it's all about making sure that we build a solid relationship. And that's what we teach our agents, how to do that relationship building.
Yeah, my position is it's fundamentally, I agree with you, but my platform, we have text messaging, but the text messaging is to try and get some response from the client and then call them, then build that relationship. So it's slightly different to your position, but fundamentally it's the same. At some stage, you got to make that call and try and build that relationship. Over to you, Robert.
So, well, I have so many questions, but let's start with some simple ones. So, Mitch, you're talking about the efficacy of like how you follow up. And the first thing I'm hearing you say, and I just want to make sure I understand you correctly, is you're saying always call the lead. That's basically what I've heard you boil this down to. The messages are better. You've tracked the results, and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that calling the lead yields better returns than texting. Am I understanding that correctly?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Once you have a relationship, I'm okay with you texting. Once you've already had the conversation, but that initial conversation, it's just based on the contact rate. The contact rate, and we tested, I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands of leads we did this with. We tested to see over a 6 month, we do everything over a 6 month period when we test. So the contact rate for a text lead without a phone call was 35%. 35%. And the contact rate with a 4 phone calls over 8 days, every other day for 4 times, was 65. It's actually 68%, so 65 to 70%. So and that was across the board. So I owned an ISA company for a few years there, and that was the numbers from the ISA company, not just my personal numbers.
Okay. All right. So you owned an ISA company, and that's a whole nother conversation I'd love to talk about, but we're going to skip that for the moment. I am going to ask you, so you are talking about, what I'm noticing about this conversation is you seem to be commoditizing the lead quality. In other words, you're not calling out a differentiation in the way that you generated a lead. You're saying all leads generated in X way, I call same way 4 times over 8 days. Is there no difference in lead quality depending on the
definitely. So a property inquiry lead once or twice a day for 3 or 4 days in a row. It's a different type of lead. So when I talk about leads generally, I try to talk about the hardest leads. To me, the hardest leads are registration leads. That's the hardest lead to do. So property inquiry leads are a different animal. We convert those around 15%.
Okay.
A great number. The raw registrations, we do 3.8% for short term and 6% for long term. Short term means a lead that came in this year, we converted this year. Long term, it was more than a year old before not the same year we captured the lead. And that is skewed a little bit because of capturing leads in November and December and October, but there really isn't a great way to track that number. So we just set up a standard for ourselves like that.
Okay. So I want our audience to try to be able to keep up with definitions. So actually I'm going to test my definitions and see if I've got it right. And maybe our audience will learn along with me.
Sure.
So when you say registration, what I think you mean is you have a website or a landing page and somebody hits that landing page somewhere online and they leave you their name, email address, and maybe a phone number. And really all they're doing is they're either registering to get to be a part of a mailing list, or they're registering with a website itself that says kind of like join, you need to register to have a system, like a search account, like something to that effect. Is that what you're talking about, or am I misunderstanding?
No, exactly. So it's a registration where they come to my website and we let them look at one listing. And when they go to look at the second listing, we make them register to look at more listings.
Okay, so that's a registration lead. What's the property inquiry lead? I legit don't know.
Property inquiry leads is, either they click on one of our leads or a Zillow lead is the same idea, right? Where they've inquired on a property. So I inquired on 555 Main Street. Could I get more information on that property? Obviously, that's a lot stronger lead, which is why Zillow charges you $60 to $100 a lead, right? It's a lot stronger lead than somebody that just registered on my site.
If you're still getting $60 to $100 Zillow leads, you're doing better than most of the people in the country.
I've never done Zillow, so I couldn't tell you. We did them. I did them for about. So the challenge for me, even though we had great conversion rate, I look at cost per sale. So with my registration leads, it's about $212 per sale. With Zillow, it was closer to $500 to $600 per sale.
Okay.
That makes sense.
How are you generating your registration? So we now know that there's a differentiation in lead quality based on the type of registration it is, but how are you generating your leads to get these numbers in the first place? What's the $220 ROI from?
Right. So we've used a couple of different sources over the years. Obviously, Google AdWords has done really well, using long tail keywords and stuff. Honestly, I used a company called HomeGain. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yep.
HomeGain, and they have a program called BuyerLink. I've used them for the last 10 years. And mainly because I'm not really a pay-per-click guy and staying on top of the changes that Google's made over the years. I'm not a professional at that. I used to be really good at it, but over the last 10 years, it's evolved so much that I work 80 plus hours a week. I didn't really want to spend any more time learning that stuff. With HomeGain, I think I paid $1.10 or $1.29 a click. Mm-hmm. Better than I can do on Google anymore. And it had about an 8% capture rate. And so I figured out with my 8% capture rate what it comes down to a cost per sale.
Okay. So you've always used the same small handful of companies that are doing PPC for you, which is for the Google AdWords is what direct marketing is another word for. It's all the same thing though, guys. You can drive your traffic from Facebook, you can drive it from Google, right?
Right. Yep.
And you're saying your method has been driving it from Google to some kind of landing page, and that's what's delivering you the cost per sale that you're talking about. Am I understanding that all correctly?
Yep, that's good. You got it.
Okay. Is there a secret sauce to your landing pages? Do you even know what BuyerLink or HomeGain are doing, or do you just not? That's their thing, and you're just leaving it in their hands?
Yeah, no, I know what they're doing. So with BuyerLink, this is why I like it so much. They have multiple partners that drive traffic to their site. So like MLS.com is one of their partners. Mm-hmm. So if you go to MLS.com and you go to look at a search, you end up it looks like it's MLS.com, but it's actually HomeGain driving that. So that would drive traffic directly to my landing page. I'm not using them anymore. Right now I'm changing my model since I joined EXP to get my agents to do this themselves and not me doing it anymore.
Okay.
We've changed our whole system, and I'm old now, right? Look at this, ugh, gross. So what I'm trying to do now is to get my agents to become self-sufficient so I can retire in the next couple of years. And so I've stopped my pay-per-click campaigns personally. I still have 36,000 leads with almost 7,000 active, which means they opened their emails in the last 30 days. With 4,500 or so of those have phone numbers. So we're still converting, but we're not converting the numbers we were before because I'm in a different place personally where I'm trying to go. And I'm trying to get my agents to be who I was the past 15 years, 16, 17 years. That makes sense?
Oh, well, I hope you can succeed because my understanding of my fairly good understanding of marketing these days is that a $212 marketing cost almost in any marketplace around the US is amazing. So for my audience, for those people that don't realize, what Mitch is saying is that his marketing total is $212. So if his commission, let's say whatever the 3% is $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, whatever the number is, he's still saying that he's bringing in his marketing cost at probably under 10%. which is very, 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 very low in real estate, especially in today's industry, because the marketing cost, and again, I say this for my audience, Mitch, more than I say it for you, it's the marketing cost has been rising. So Zillow and these other companies that have a lock on certain portions of the marketing that's out there, they are all raising the cost of your sale. It's all that those numbers are going up. They're not going down right now. Yeah. So that's
we've been able to do it mainly because we were highly systemized. Everybody's doing stuff that we're doing now because I've taught 1 billion people how to do this. But it's changed over the last couple of years. It's definitely more challenging the last 2 years than it's been the last 18 years. And that's because of, everybody and their mother and their grandmother has a website now, right? Every company's out there trying to better themselves. You have the Zillows, you have the Realtor.coms. There's just a lot more competition, which is all the more importance why that phone call is so important. Because I'll give you an example. Somebody registers on Zillow to get a property inquiry, about a property. They didn't just do that property. They did 5 or 6 properties, right? And now that means they have 5 or 6 realtors hounding them. So you have to be really strategic. If you're hounding them, they're not working with you. And again, we were calling for, I'd say when we had the ISA company, we were calling for over 100 companies, but I would say about 30 of them were strictly just Zillow leads. And we found that if we called twice a day, 4 days in a row, we got a hold of about 70%. Still don't get a hold of a lot of people, but it's all in how you handle that call. The first things we hear are just looking. I was just
But before we go into that, Mitch, we need to go for our break, and then we come back. You can tell us, because that's what I was going to ask you in the second half, what you actually say in these calls. So it's a great spot for us to go for our break, Mitch.
Great. Excellent.
So listeners and viewers, we'll be back, and hopefully you can tell how fantastic this conversation's been so far, and you join us for the second half. We'll be back in a few moments. We're coming back. We've had a feast of figures. Robert is salivating with all these figures. He loves it. Mitch has just provided him more. I can just see he's woken up, folks. So, Mitch, before I rudely interrupted you in the first half, you were just to explain some of the conversations you need when you're actually reading up some of these possible prospects. Over to you, Mitch.
Yeah, so what we found, and this is again why I had ISAs, because agents will do, and no insult to anybody out there, I hope you don't take it this way, but agents aren't the best at handling objections. And the number one objection we get when we call is, oh, thanks for calling, really appreciate it. We're just looking. Not buying for 6 months, not buying for a year, whatever that number is, doesn't matter. And of course, we totally appreciate that. Everybody's just looking. So tell me, by here, it looks like you're looking for a 3-bedroom. We just go right past that. The challenge with most realtors, and I've listened to so many of them, they'll say, oh, well, that's great. Well, again, I'll send you some listings, and if you want anything in the future, just let me know, right? So we don't accept just looking as an answer. We just go right past that. We accept that. We acknowledge that, and then we move forward with what we want to know, which is finding out your buying time frame and what you're looking for, and then making sure the searches are set up properly.
So you're just trying to get a bit more detail. So when you do send them things, you've got some idea of the timescale, so you can put it into your CRM, and also the materials that you can send to them are relevant.
Right. And there's things that you have to do though on a search. Setting up your search is one of the most important things to do. And most people do it incorrectly. I'll give you guys a quickie on that. So, for instance, someone looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, $350,000. Most agents are going to set up in a home maybe $325,000 to $375,000. You're not going to get enough relevant matches for them to be getting in front of them on a regular basis with the email updates. So, for instance, someone comes to us with $350,000. We're going to set them up between $300,000 and $400,000. So it's a little bit broader search. And we are not going to put any specifics in it. Now, we're only going to put specifics if they're buying teams within 90 days. It'll be a little bit more different. But most people are not buying in 90 days. And so we're going to be a lot broader because I want to get 25 to 35 matches of that search because therefore my emails matching them is going to come to them 2 to 3 times, 4 times a week. So, and everybody loves to look at houses. Nobody ever complains because we sent them to the houses. That's never an issue. Now they might say, well, why are you sending me this? I don't really want that. I don't want to spend $400,000. I don't want to spend $300,000. I want to spend $350,000. Yes, we understand that, but we're trying to give you an idea of the market while you're looking. As we get a little closer, we'll get a little tighter in the search. Very simple.
Yeah, totally. Over to you, Robert.
Okay, so since I've got a numbers guy in my hand, you'll have to forgive me because I could really get into this all day long.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
It's pretty unusual, as I'm sure you've already realized throughout your career, that we get to talk to people that track the stuff at all. I have clients spend tens of thousands of dollars and not track any of the things that we're talking about right now.
I probably talked to half of them.
I got Mitch on the show just for you, Robert.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you've been talking about a couple companies, like Home Gain, Buyers Link. A lot of what John and I talk to our clients about is digital lead generation. And what you've boiled that all down to is you just said simply registration leads versus property inquiry leads, which, guys, is 2 separate types of leads. But I'm curious, like, let's say you're going to give a budget of $5,000 a month to Buyer Link. What is going to be your expectation in terms of quantity of leads for that $5,000?
So we figured things, and I don't have a calculator in front of me, but $5,000, whatever $12 a lead is, that's pretty much my cost.
Okay.
$12 a lead. So what's that? About 450 leads, roughly.
Yeah. Okay.
My calculators have destroyed our lives because I can't do any math in my head anymore. It's terrible. But so that was always our number. And then getting our conversions from that. Our average budget was around $10,000 a month for marketing.
Okay.
And
all of your marketing, all of your marketing was based on, let's say, direct marketing is what I would call, which is PPC, landing pages, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Doing any SEO, organic, mailing, anything like that.
Yeah, so all we did the landing pages, and how we did it, which is the reason why I think we captured so well, is, and we used to capture 10 or 12%, but that number's gone down as the market's gotten more crowded, as the spaces got more crowded. So what we made sure we did, we made sure that we did 2 things. We made sure every piece of marketing we did, they landed on a page that was relevant to that marketing. So if someone was searching Melbourne, Florida, they just didn't come to my website. They came to my Melbourne page on my website. Mm-hmm. That sounds, to me, that's no brainer, but it's a lot of people just send them directly to their websites and don't do that. Mm-hmm. And then when we were doing, if they didn't give me enough detail, we had default price ranges for all of those cities. So for instance, we know in Melbourne, Florida, the average sale is between $200,000 and $400,000. Right? Do I know there's homes that sell for $600,000 and $1 million? Of course, but the average sale is $200,000 to $400,000. So if they didn't give me enough detail, we'd automatically set them up in a $200,000 to $400,000 sale price range. So we were able to assign default price ranges and to those specific landing pages tied to our marketing. To when I search Melbourne real estate, I land on a Melbourne page, and then we also did that with community pages. So I built a page for every community, and we did community marketing. That's what I did. I didn't use Home Game for that. I did Google PPC for that. And then we drive people to those landing pages specifically for those. And those were actually a much better lead than a general registration lead. Yeah. Because they're inquiring on a specific community. Didn't get a lot of them, by the way. Didn't cost a lot either. But didn't get a lot. But those leads are generally a stronger lead because they're more specific than a general search.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I tend to, the terminology I use for that, listeners and viewers, and I don't know if Robert would agree, I call that evergreen content, where you set up a number of pages about specific areas that you cover as an agent, and you provide information and the search element as well. So that's what I just thought I would say that, Robert.
Okay. I'm going to leave that alone. I would define evergreen as something else, but let's not. I don't want to get lost in that particular rabbit hole right now. So Just so the audience once again understands what Mitch is saying is that he set up his landing pages so that the search criteria matched whatever the average is going to be for that particular neighborhood. So a landing page is a page, in this case, Mitch seems to be talking about a real basic page where it's just properties, and then he's going to put the properties on the page that are going to have the price range that is average for the area that he's marketing to. Did I understand you correctly, Mitch?
A little bit, but no. So we didn't change. So the landing page would be anything relevant that they search within that landing page.
Okay.
It's any price range. But when we set up our searches, we use those default price ranges if they didn't give us enough detail.
I got you. So if somebody's clicking anything on the page, or if you have saved links is what we call them these days, but basically pre-qualified searches that are already on the page for somebody to click. That's how I'm understanding. Okay. All right. So that's what you're doing, is you're then doing the average off that page, and that's to keep their attention on the destination that you've sent them to, right?
Right. Well, you want to make it simple for them to navigate. So if they got to go to your page, now they got to go look for the information they're looking for. It's extra clicks, right?
Right.
So the least amount of clicks you get, the more chance you have of getting them to register.
I'm curious because these days, every single marketing company that I know of that's out there has moved to a single philosophy, which is you register, like they basically throw the registration gateway up the second that somebody hits the page. Nobody, like Real Geeks is doing it. Pretty much everybody is doing it now, where you if you get a search at all, it's one, and then you have to register with the page. What did you guys do?
Yeah, we've done both. I think right now, and I could be wrong because I forget because I haven't changed it for a while.
Okay.
I think we're at one. We let you look at one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty much standard. I mean, 1 or 0 is pretty standard. The reason we know is some people say, oh, you should let them look at 5. Well, some people will never look at 5. And therefore, you've never given the registration opportunity.
I got you. Okay. All right. So somebody registers. You've got the same small handful of companies that you've been using to do these registrations. Just for, is there any problem if I ask you what markets that you're focused on so that everybody understands where this broker is?
Yeah. We're in Brevard County, Florida. So that's Melbourne, Melbourne Beach, that area.
Okay. So your 40 agents that you manage are all in that area?
Yes. Well, I have agents all over the country with my EXP stuff, but the ones on my team are local here.
Okay. So I actually don't understand that secondary comment. Are you a trainer for EXP? Are you what is
No, so we merged our brokerage in 2017 with EXP.
Okay.
Owning a brokerage, if there's any brokers out there, you know it's not fun. And I have to have fun because, again, I look like this. We better make it fun. So the beauty of the EXP model, that allows me to introduce agents from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada to the company, and they're all part of my organization. So I have about 430 agents right now. But I only generate leads for actually 25 agents here locally. I have 120 agents here locally, but I only generate leads for 25 of them.
So not only have you built up like what I would refer to as a hyper-local real estate sales team in your own market of Brevard, but you have also built up a national or maybe even semi-global sales force of real estate agents under the EXP brand. And I'm taking it that global sales force that you're talking about, you manage or train them in some way or another?
I offer training, I offer advice. I mean, I'm always there to help agents. I help anybody, regardless if they're with me or not. I've been on the phone all day long with agents that I don't even know who they are. They reached out to me and I help them out. I don't care. I just love helping people. It's all about contribution, right? The more you can contribute, the better life is. And so the agents that have joined my organization, I train them in real estate. I train them in building their teams, whatever they want. It's just, some people don't reach out to me at all in that group. I just make a few bucks off of them. And some people reach out to me on a regular basis and I help them. So the beauty of where I'm at in my life right now is I'm really in a mode of who can I help today? And it's such a fun place to be in my life because I generate enough revenue doing what I'm doing with everything I do. And I don't really, I have a ball.
Yeah. I love my life. Well, we're going to finish the podcast part of the show. Hopefully Mitch can stay on a little while longer, which will be some bonus content. Are you okay with that, Mitch?
I'm totally fine, sure.
Yeah. And we're going to be asking Mitch a couple of things he said in his videos that I've written notes on that intrigued me. Mitch, if people want to speak to you directly, get some of your wisdom, which you've shown so clearly during the podcast, what's the best way for people to contact you, Mitch?
I would send me an email. It's really simple. I have multiple emails, but my easy one is Mitch, M-I-T-C-H, @mitchrealty.com.
Right. And Robert, how can people find out more about you, your company, and your words of wisdom?
Well, if anybody wants to, I'm gonna do what Mitch did. If anybody wants to contact me from the show, you can always just email me at robert@inboundrem.com. And we can also always just reach out to my website, inboundrem.com, and you can see what I'm up to.
And if you want to find out more about Melrite and the exciting features that we have built into the system over the past 6 months, just go, you can either email me at jonathan@mel-rite.com, or you can go to the Melrite website and book a free demo, which will be done by myself, truly. That should be interesting, shouldn't it, listeners and viewers? And I can show you all the fantastic functionality of the Melrite platform. We'll be back next week with another fantastic guest like Mitch, offering you knowledge to make you a more successful real estate agent, not only for yourself, but for your family. We'll be back next week, folks. Bye.
Peace.
Right, on to some bonus content. I was intrigued by one of your videos on YouTube. You said that when you were actually in the field and you were showing clients, you always left the house that you thought that they were going to buy, the second to last.
I love it.
And that really increased. Did you ever work out the psychology of that mechanism that worked so well?
I did. Yeah, that's why I did it. So I'm a systems guy. Everything I built, I got zero training in real estate. I started here locally. I knew zero people, except for my girlfriend, and she wasn't buying a house. I was actually the first online dating service. So that's how I ended up in Florida, and did a radio show out of Orlando. And so after I lost the company when the internet bubble burst, I was 2 months away from retiring, which was a real bummer. And then I had to do something. So I got my license and got no training. So I had to figure out systems. I figured out open houses, how to master open houses. So I got 36 sales my first year, 28.
That's another thing. After we discuss the thing I've asked you, we're going to have to talk about open houses.
Yeah. So anyway, when I was showing houses, I was realizing I was showing like way too many houses for me to sell a lot of houses. I'm a volume guy. So I said, all right, I got to have a strategy. So I came up with my 2-day sales strategy. It's really simple. My first day, and my average showing would be 8 houses. I won't show more than 8 houses in a day, 6 to 8. So we'll say 8 because that's 4 hours. So at the end of my first day, I do that's where I learn what they really want. Because we can talk on the phone all we want. And until we walk into houses, they don't know what they want. So when we walk into houses, I show houses with a pad of paper. I go, look, I'm not going to sit here and show you where the bathroom is and where the closet is. I think we'll figure that out as we walk around. I'm just going to take notes. So I take all these notes as we're walking around and listen to some keywords that they would say. And then I would go home immediately afterwards and refine the search. And I would find the house I knew they would buy based on what I did, because I did a good job listing, which for an ADD guy is very difficult, by the way. And so what I learned is if I put the best house second to last on the second day, I had an 80% offer rating on it.
Wow.
And so what happened, and I'll tell you how the psychology of it. First day is learning, right? Second day, the first 6 houses are better than the houses the day before, but there was no wow moment. You can always see the wow moment, especially if it's a couple, in the woman's eyes. I hope that's not sexist, but it's what it is. And then the 7th house, that was it. That was the wow. In fact, I would usually make stupid jokes. I'd open the doors, close, and say, oh, we can't go in here. This is the one. Because I'm always making stupid jokes. That's what I do. And then the 8th house, this is the most important part. The last house is the confirmation that the second and last house was the best. And my only salesy line I've ever used in real estate is, look, we've looked at a lot of houses the last 2 days. That last one seemed to really pop out. You want to go take a second look. And 80% of the time we do.
Huh.
Okay. So, but it's because I do my homework ahead of time, where most realtors these days are more tour guides. They don't want a strategy. They just want to go, all right, you send me a list of 10 properties. Let's go look at those 10 properties. right? I'm going to go open the doors. And next week, I'm going to look at 10 more properties. And next week, I'm going to look at 10 more properties. There's no strategy involved. I'm a business guy. I've owned 22 companies in my life. I build strategies. So without a strategy, how do you sell houses? I don't get that part of it. So, have I had people that I showed 50 homes to? Of course I have. But the majority of my sales, probably 80-90% of my sales were less than 2 days worth of working.
Fantastic. Got a question, Robert?
So I actually want to circle back around to one of the 22 businesses that you've owned. Okay, the ISA company, because here's what I heard in all these conversations. You opened up a dialogue and you really talked about the ISA company right out of the gate. You also made a real point in the beginning of the show to emphasize that the number one way to get response off leads that you're generating is to actually call them. Then you laid out a system, which was 8 calls over 4 days, twice a day.
4 calls over 8 days.
Four calls over 8 days, not 8 calls over 4 days. So I inverted the number.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, 4 calls over 8 days. So my understanding of that process, you'd qualify the lead with some simple questions and then you'd hand it off to the real estate agent. Is that correct?
Yes, so it depends. So the way the process works is pretty simple, but it's very, very positive. It works very well. So the ISA makes the first contact. They get a hold of the customer. If it's a hot lead, someone that wants to buy within 60 days, we do a live transfer to the agent. Right?
Okay.
And by the way, I'm not doing this anymore because of what I told you earlier. I'm trying to get my agents to do their own stuff. This is how we sold so many homes per year on leads. If it wasn't a hot lead, we gave the agents 24 hours to contact that lead after the ISA did. If the agent did not contact the lead was transferred to the next agent.
I got you.
Sorry, Bill wasn't available. We trained our agents. Sorry, I know you talked to one of our assistants, Sue, yesterday. Bill wasn't available, so I'm reaching out to you to take care of you.
Which leads to one of our favorite questions on the show. Everybody buckle down. What CRM do you have your ISAs use in order to find the round robin or look at it and say, okay, did they contact it in the first 24 hours? Like, what are you doing to track?
So one of the nice things about the ISAs, if you use an ISA correctly, they're not just making phone calls and making agents accountable.
Okay.
That's the most important piece. That's almost more important than the phone calls, is the accountability piece. If I didn't keep my agents accountable, they wouldn't sell anything, right, from leads. So the original for the first few years, I was hodgepodging around on CRMs, but from 2007 to 2015, I used my own system. I spent $500,000 and built my own CRM because it did exactly what I wanted to do, because there was no tools out there in 2007, or 2006 actually that was, that to actually do what I wanted. So I built my own system called 100 mile per hour marketing. I was selling it a little bit, but honestly, I was so busy growing my real estate business, I didn't care about that part. Honestly, still the best CRM that's out there. Now it's dead. I got rid of it a few years ago, but it is by far, nothing is as good as that was, because I automated the entire process for everybody. The last few years, I've been using a real estate webmaster system.
Okay.
And great system. And the reason why I like the real estate webmaster system is the user experience is amazing. So what happens if you're not getting people coming back to the site, you're going to lose them. So currently we have about 400 plus people every day coming back to the site. So that's how I know what to work. I mean, you have 36,000 leads. You can't call all 36,000 leads and be efficient. You have to be able to, funnel those leads into a smaller group, right?
Right.
So we do that by the leads that come back to the site, leads that open their email, things like that. So we've customized the back end of the Real Estate Webmasters CRM to make it what we needed to a degree. So we spent a bunch of money doing it correctly, but we made that back tenfold because of our conversion processes.
I got you. All right. So once again, guys, very few people are going to be like Mitch. So understand that. But what I heard him say is that I didn't even know that you could really customize the Real Estate Webmasters backend. So I'm guessing that either one, you had them do it, or two, there's customization features that I never really noticed when I was poking around back there. Is that right?
No, they do it for you. Now they actually have a new CRM, which I don't have their new CRM. I haven't upgraded my site yet, and I'm not sure that I'm going to because of my new direction. But their new CRM is pretty good. I haven't really looked at it totally, but But you can go in there and if you want to pay, just pay for customizations. They're custom sites to a degree. So they're built on a template site, but you can customize anything you want on the front end and the back end.
I got you. Okay. All right. So you're using Real Estate Webmasters in terms of, so I'm taking it that you don't just have one system, because BuyerLink, so BuyerLink or these other systems, you're driving traffic by using a PPC marketing company essentially, but you're driving it to a Real Estate Webmasters website. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize that. All right. John, take it away. I'm thinking. Yeah,
just the last final question. So, you mentioned open houses, and so many agents they really have a hatred for open houses, but I see them as great opportunities to build your database, to get visibility. And if you've got a follow-through system, they can generate in 6 months' time into some active buyers and sellers. What's your advice to your own agents around open houses?
I teach this all the time to people all over the place. So first of all, you got to understand what you do today is going to generate you contracts in 90 days. But everything in marketing, and I don't care what type of marketing you do, is about consistency, right? I call marketing 5 times, meaning they have to see you 5 times before they actually see you, which is old print numbers back in the day, and TV numbers. Back before all this internet stuff changed the world, right? So I tell agents, pick the same house every single week until it sells. I don't do a 1 to 3 open house. I did 10 to 4 open houses. I never did advertising. I would put somewhere between 30 and 40 signs out. And what I tell people in the real numbers are, if you do a good job at an open house and you only get 2 people come through per open house, that means if you do them every week and you're consistent, that means in a month you're going to get 8 leads. I guarantee you, and I know my numbers as you know, I guarantee you 2 of those 8 people are buying a house. The challenge is they're not going to stop buying for 90 days. Most realtors, I hear it all the time from my agents, oh, it's terrible, only 2 people came through. I'm like, that's 2 people. What are you complaining about? Remember, you only need 2 out of 8. What I taught myself when I first got in the business is you have to generate 1 lead a day. You do 1 lead a day, just 5 days a week, that's 2 to 4 sales a month. So how you generate that lead, whether it be open houses, whether it be, I love teaching Starbucks is a great way to generate leads. There's so many ways to generate leads. Your phone, everybody has sales right here on their phone. They could make a quick thing that'll be done in seconds. And everybody would have a sale within a week if they did that. But open houses, it's a gold mine of people coming through. But people, again, just like our internet leads, they don't put them into a CRM. They don't follow up with them. They call once. They don't call. The customer doesn't call back. They quit. And that's the challenge, is consistency. If you're not, I don't care how you generate your leads. In fact, I very seldom do I teach agents internet leads anymore, because I know I've been doing this for so many years that 95% of the agents aren't going to do what it takes to convert internet leads. That's just the reality, right? So why teach them something that they're not going to do? Now, as a team or as a broker, it's a great tool if you have a great system to help your agents convert more sales. But if you're going to rely on agents to do the work themselves, it's very, very slim chance they're going to do that. And there's a rare one. I got a couple right now that are awesome. They do 17 to 20 sales a year from leads each, because they actually follow up with the leads and call their leads. But the rest of the other 25, hey, if I'm not calling for them, they're not calling.
Oh, Mitch, I've really enjoyed the conversation. You have to come back to the show. Hopefully you'll consider coming back in the new year and sharing some of your knowledge some more, Mitch, because I think we've offered some fantastic insights and you've offered such great insights yourself. And we're going to finish the show now, folks, and we'll be back next week with hopefully another quality guest like Mitch.
Thanks a lot, Mitch. You're awesome.
Nice talking about it. Thank you, guys.